What about trade? International trade. That is a question that a government official from the Panamanian government raised to me not so long ago. This question from a female representative at the Panamanian embassy in Washington, D.C., set me off on my journey in the area of international trade, starting with my trip at that time to Panama as a political science doctoral student, trying to figure out what is it that I'm going to focus on. And she thought about, well, why not international trade? And I traveled to Panama to observe, learn more about the US Panamanian trade negotiations, and focus on what the potential outcomes could mean for the Panamanian apparel sector. Now, 20 years later, or a little over 20 years later, I am the founder and CEO of my own consulting firm in the area of international trade, the Global Research Institute of International Trade, where my firm works with companies to help them to sell their goods and services internationally, while also benefiting communities around the world. Additionally, I work with other women so that we can also give back to women coming along in this space of international trade. For example, I serve on the board of the Organization of Women in International Trade, Orange County, and mentor female entrepreneurs as a part of the Select Global Women in Tech program designed to help female leaders in emerging tech sectors as a means to foster economic growth and innovation. What about trade? Now, this is not just about my journey alone. Rather, it is about what that question means and our response to it for women around the world. When we talk about international trade, or answer that question, international trade presents an opportunity for women to serve as leaders in the global community. For example, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is the first female Director General of the World Trade Organization. She is also the first Director General from an African nation. In the United States, our U.S. Secretary of Commerce is a woman, Gina Raimondo. Our Undersecretary of Commerce for International Trade is a woman, Marisa Laga. Our Deputy Undersecretary for International Trade is a woman, Diane Farrell. And our U.S. Trade Representative is a woman, Catherine Tai. These leaders, among many other women who work in different capacities in different government agencies, help to shape international trade policy as well as U.S. trade policy in the global community. And there are many other women in the private sector who work for non-governmental organizations, the nonprofit sector, who are teachers, mentors, and advocates that help to carry out the international trade policy. And they themselves are serving as leaders. What about international trade? When we see women playing such a pivotal role in the global community, international trade also means economic advancement. According to a study by the World Bank, women in developing economies represent 33% of the workforce of exporting firms, which is higher compared to the non-exporting firms of 24%. In developing economies, especially those developing economies that doubled their manufacturing exports, this would lead to women seeing an increase in the share of total manufacturing wages from 24% to 30%. In developing economies, the employment of women in the services sector showed an increase from 25% in 1991 to 38% in 2017. And in developed economies, the employment of women in the services sector during the same time frame saw an increase from 45% to a little over 66%. When women gain in international trade, it also benefits economies around the world. According to a McKinsey Global Institute study, looking at global gender equality, it finds that having global gender equality also leads to global economic growth. In this study, it says, quote, in a full potential scenario in which women play an identical role in labor markets to that of men, as much as $28 trillion or 26% could be added to the global annual GDP by 2025. Now, even with these numbers, women still face a number of hurdles in international trade or the global economy, generally speaking. When we look at how many women are employed or the percentage of women who are employed in the global economy, it's less than 50%. And of that number, 80% are working jobs that are low skilled or medium skilled, which means that they receive much lower pay. Also, many of these women are working in the informal sector and may have far less access to capital and other resources, such as technology, that would help them to continue to advance or advance at higher rates in the global economy. And when I think about my own journey and where I am, how I got here today, I think about the number of people who played a pivotal role to help me to become a leader in international trade. And of all of those people, I think about their commitment to make sure that my voice is heard, to amplify my voice. And that came through mentors and advocates. The commitment of organizational leaders, such as an organization such as the Global Chamber, to include me in important discussions such as this, and include other people that look like me in these kinds of discussions and decision making. And also thinking about those active supporters who invested in my business, meaning that they invested their time, insight, resources, making referrals, or purchasing a product or a service so that my business could grow and I could continue to provide a service internationally. So my ask of you, or I invite all of you who are on this call today, whether you're on the call virtually or in person, to join me in the commitment, the following 3 commitments. The commitment to work with women and help to amplify their voices. The commitment to engage in inclusive practices, inviting women to important discussions and allowing them to participate in the decision making. And 3, to invest in businesses that are led by women. By showing this active, ongoing commitment to women in international trade, we are unlocking the opportunities for growth and development for the benefit not only of women, but for the global community at large and different economies all around the world. Thank you.